And I looked first at Blue Earth County, where Mankato is. So here's the data on Blue Earth County. Took data from the 2000 census, which is obviously not quite up to date, but the effects that the older data will have on the results is maybe a 10% effect or so. So the numbers that I'll get finally will be good, say 10%. Blue Earth County population 56,000, Dodge County population 17,000, something like that, 2000 census. Major cities, Mankato, land use, agriculture, 83%, mostly corn and soybeans. So what about wind for electricity for Blue Earth County? And we don't need to go through this in detail. The point is that I was able to find information through the Department of Commerce website on the actual amount of electricity that was used in Blue Earth County in 2001. So I took that as a piece of data, and then it's easy to calculate how much energy you can get from a wind turbine, a big one, like I call it 1.5, but I rounded that from 1.65, like the wind turbines at the McNeilus Wind Farm. If they operate a third of the time, which is reasonable in this part of the state, maybe a little good, but that's the figure I took, then each one will produce that much electricity in a year, and that means we could generate all our electricity with 170 wind turbines. Now, I did the calculation and I thought, we could do that. That's not really too bad. But keep in mind that this is an energy target. It's not an energy plan. This just says that energy for energy, we'd get the energy that we used with this many wind turbines. But there are all kinds of technical problems, the biggest one being that you get electricity from wind when the wind blows, and you want electricity when you turn the switch. And there's no really good way of storing electricity from wind at the present time, although people are looking at it. So and you can just, as the McNeilus Wind Farm does, you can just feed the electricity into the grid and then get electricity from the grid when the wind's not blowing. That's another possibility. Okay, ethanol for gasoline. That's the amount of gasoline that was used in Minnesota in 2000. So again, somewhat old data. Now, with gasoline and ethanol, if you look at a switch on an energy for energy basis, you have to take into account the fact that if you burn E85 in your gas tanks, your mileage isn't as good because the energy content in a gallon of ethanol is not quite the same as the energy content in a gallon of gasoline. That's what it is for ethanol, and this is what it is for gasoline. So take that into account in the calculation. I couldn't find any data county by county for how much gasoline was used in Blue Earth County, so I assumed that it was just proportional to the population. Back of the envelope calculation, and that's the number. We need about 50 million gallons of ethanol to substitute for the gasoline that we used in 2000. Well, that's good too. I mean, that's just a medium-sized ethanol plant. So the numbers are looking good. Are people familiar with biodigesters, that technology? Okay. So this is a photo of a biodigester that I saw on a trip, Southeast Search trip to Wisconsin a couple of years ago. It was on a dairy farm So what's done is to take the cow manure and put it in the digester with the appropriate enzymes at an elevated temperature to produce methane and also carbon dioxide and other gases. So you need to extract the methane from the cow manure, and then you have a byproduct which you can use for various things like bedding or something else. And the methane, which you can either burn in a turbine setup to produce electricity, or you can burn it just as natural gas, because that's what it is. So, same kind of calculation here. I got the information on the biodigester that we saw in Wisconsin. It was made by Microgy, and determined that it can produce 64 billion BTUs of natural gas in a year. The residential demand for natural gas, not the demand by industry, but just the residential demand, because I figured if worst comes to worst, we want to be able to heat our homes, and then we'll think about industry. So that's what I did, and there's the bottom line. We'd need 23 biodigesters to supply the residential natural gas for Blue Earth County. And here's a summary of the targets, renewable energy targets, and I worked them out for Dodge County as well. For renewable electricity, we'd need 170 wind turbines, but I found the figure for the use of electricity in Dodge County in 2001 from the Minnesota Utilities Data Book. 35 wind turbines is what you'd need. And heck, you have those already, so you're set here. You just have to work out an arrangement with McNeilis. Or the energy is being produced here.
That's only because we have relatively low population consuming it, aren't you saying?
Yeah, right.
When you start getting into counties like around the metro area, you've got a kind of a tough time keeping up. That's
right. Yeah. But if you're talking about rural sustainability, then in a sense, counties like Dodge and Blue Earth really are at an advantage, because the amount of resources they need is much smaller than the resources for a metropolitan area, and the resources are around us. So if we can just make use of them, and can find the funding to put them to use, then we are in pretty good shape because of the resources in our region. And with ethanol, 16 million gallons, and natural gas, 7 biodigesters would do it for the natural gas that you need to heat the homes in Dodge County. I don't know if this is dairy region.
Around here. Hogs and dairy, lots of hogs too.
Okay.
It's really been an upsurge in animal, both dairy and hogs.
Okay.
So either one works, for making electricity, or the biodigester.
Yeah, you can. I don't know what the status of biodigesters is from hog manure. Somebody else might know that better than I do.
There's a huge difference. I don't think they both do. They both biodegrade, and give off CO2 and methane.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
In fact, anything vegetable matter does. Your lawn clippings will work.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Sure. So, and I talk about the scale-up problem here, but the conclusion from the calculations is that Blue Earth County could be self-sufficient in electricity with electricity from wind, and likewise Dodge County, and could be self-sufficient in ethanol for cars, likewise for Dodge County, but we don't have the dairy industry in Blue Earth County for biodigesters for natural gas. But when you look at the scale-up, then this is what was mentioned about bigger populations like the Twin Cities. It's true that if we took our corn and made ethanol out of it, we could be self-sufficient, but it would take 2/3 of the corn crop to do that. And then you have the 1/3 left over for animal feed or for export, and that's quite a bit different from the proportion right now. So realistic or not, well, probably not at this time.